G'day, this is Johnny Seville from Acorn Wealth Corp, Smart Money Trading, and I've got something very special for you today. Obviously, we are in the midst of a market meltdown. And of course, the big question on everyone's mind is what happens next? And the million-dollar question, of course, is could this have been predicted and anticipated? And if so, what does that system say comes next? And for those of you that have been following us, you'll know that this is something that we have been extremely good at. Dating back to the 2008 crash, this was something else that our system pinpointed on February 6th was going to happen. Now, anyone can say that. Hindsight's 2020, right? But I'm actually going to share with you the video from February 6th in a second where we actually anticipated this exactly. So you're going to see this in a moment. But this was from February 6th. Here's the video where we anticipated it was going to rally to this exact point, and that was where we expected it to turn. We then said it would drop to this level, bounce, and then drop to this level. That was, we mapped out the exact course of the S&P a month before it happened, down to the days and the exact levels and the exact movement like a Google map. It's amazing. I'm going to share that with you right now, and stick around to the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get access to the entire video, because it is actually something that we use then to forecast the rest of the year ahead and what to be on the lookout for. So here's a February 6th video right now, and I'll be back in a moment. We got that short-term 2-week window, and then it changes again. All right. Now, in the Tuesday video, obviously some of the things that I then touched on was looking at what could be the potential bearish argument on the S&P 500. And I talked about that when you start looking at, the SPX 500, that we're in a possible, now this is this is weighted to the major players. But if you take a look at that, you've got a pretty perfectly parallel looking upward channel, right? So when we're including the weighted S&P, we're considering that as the main driver, does everyone see that there's certainly a good argument following the anchor point strategy that's taught in PNP? You can see this is the correct way to identify a potential system. And so if this pattern were to play out as a channel, then you'd be looking at, okay, well, here's the downward channel that came before. We've got an upward channel there with a bullish S&P indicator. So we should find resistance somewhere, well, we would find resistance somewhere there. So that could be a possible near-term trajectory over the next 2 weeks of the S&P to hit that level and test that potential resistance. Okay. And if and when that occurs, that is going to be the test, a big test, very big test of what's in store next. So we're just looking at the S&P 500 for now. But we will add more layers to this analysis in a moment. But again, everyone who saw my executive summaries and whatnot earlier this week, as I mentioned, the focus of today's session was to dive into the S&P and what could be the forecast of what's to come in a bit more detail, specifically focus on S&P and market patterns. So that's what we're doing here today. So why is it such a critical test? Well, this is where we find out, because this would be the 1, 2, 3. This would be the third touch. So there's the rule of 3. Okay, so that on the third touch, this is, and of course we would then be on the 1, 2, 3 touches along support. So if this is an upward channel, if that is the system that's in play here, after the third touch, drop down to support, bounce to some degree, and then decline to the upward channel target. So if that were to play out, that's kind of what it would look like. Right? You're looking at about 54, 60-ish type of downside target if the upward channel plays through. So as you can see, look, turned there, dropped, bounced, and then dropped all the way down to the channel target. And so in our trading room on Thursday, I talked about this with our members. I said that like this, if there was going to be a bounce in the market, this would be likely where we would see it on Friday. And on Friday, we had that 2% bounce in the indexes. And so now going into next week, the next stage of this system is to be defined. And so this, as you can see, is a very powerful system, and it's not complicated and convoluted with news and fundamentals. It's about systems that work. So on Tuesday this week, I'm going to be doing a live workshop on this exact topic, diving into the system. I'm going to send you the free registration page in just a moment. And as a thank you for registering for the free event, you're going to get access to the full members-only video, of which you just saw a clip from, which is going to go through, you'll see that clip in it, plus the stocks we're looking to trade, how bad we think this could get, timeframes, patterns, and comparisons to when this has happened before in major crashes in the past. So register right now, get instant access to that video, and then I'll see you live in Tuesday's workshop. Cheers.